So it's cool. I'm on a mobile track. I don't know if they are connection to mobile. Okay.
We were liberal in our tracking.
Quite. Yeah, as Celeste already mentioned, my name is Karlitschek, KDE developer for I think 10 years now. It's scary. I'm doing mainly OpenDesktop.org, KDeLook.org, websites like this. I'm involved in the social desktop project, OpenPC and ownCloud. This is the topic of the talk today. So why is ownCloud important for KDE? I want to talk about three things. First, why ownCloud, and the current state, and the future. So first of all, why ownCloud? I mean, we do in KDE. You all use the current version, of course, and you know that it's really beautiful and fast, has a lot of features, it's secure, it's a really, really nice user interface, a really nice shell for your operating system. But I want to talk about the challenges about the next 5 years, not about today. And if you look at the next 5 years, you see a big move from desktop applications to cloud applications. A few examples. For example, a lot of people use Pandora or something like Last.fm or other streaming services for music instead of their native KDE media players. I mean, we have great media players. We have Amarok, we have a new one now. Tomahawk, right? Yeah. So we have great native KDE or Qt media players, but still people seem to use web-based, cloud-based media players, even KDE developers, KDE users. It's a real question, why? The same is for stuff like Google Docs. We have our own Office applications. We learned about this morning, but still a lot of people use Google Docs. I even see this during KDE developer meetings and stuff like that. Why are people not why are we not using our own stuff that much? Why are we using other cloud-based solutions? A lot of people use Gmail instead of our own contact applications. We use Flickr and Picasa. We even use web-based, cloud-based instant messaging stuff. So the question is, why is this trend? I did a small survey and asked people why are they using cloud applications instead of native applications. I got a lot of answers, of course. Most people say that they don't want to install native application. Installing of application is tough, too complicated. Using a web browser, going to a website is so easy, more convenient. They don't have to worry about losing their data or backupping their data. It's just there, it just works. And it's very easy to interact with other people. You can share stuff with others and collaborate on one document and stuff like that. This is not that easy on desktop applications. So everything is good, right? We have lots of new opportunities, we have a lot more features, cloud applications are cool. But is this good from a free software perspective? I mean, is this really a good trend or is it a bad trend? And the question is, of course, where's the place for a classic desktop like KDE in, let's say, 10 years? Is everything we provide a browser where you can go to a website and access stuff? Or do we really have native applications anymore, or have everything in the cloud? I also asked you in this survey about the disadvantages. And there are also disadvantages about cloud applications. And most people say that they're afraid of security or privacy aspects. Because if everything, all your documents, everything you do everything's on the cloud, you don't control the data. You don't know what happened. It could be sold to a different company and someone else has access to all your stuff. This is a big concern. And of course, web applications are limited. So I mean, if you look at Google Docs, it has a lot of features nowadays. But if you compare this to Calligra, for example, it's not that featureful, of course. So, what can we do about this trend? And I'm asking myself the question if it's possible to combine the best of both worlds, which means we have rich desktop applications with a lot of features, but we still have social features, and we're still easy deployable, and we still have our data under our control. Which means basically here, the 3 points here are the features, the main features from cloud applications. combine this with rich desktop applications. This is the question: is this possible to combine both best of both worlds? So what do we have to do to accomplish this? First, we have to work on the social aspect of KDE. We have to work on the deployment, access to application aspect, and access and sharing of data. I mean, if we improve on those three things, we have something which is better than pure cloud applications. Then we have the richness, the featureful, the responsiveness of native applications combined with the online, with the cloud stuff. So, and I want to talk about those three aspects now. First, the social aspect. We have a project called Social Desktop. The idea is that you bring social features to desktop applications. For example, you can find people in your region with your application. You can manage your friends, groups, messaging, news feeds, knowledge sharing, events, all the stuff you use, for example, on Facebook, but integrated with your desktop applications. And if you look at the current KDE release, we have a lot of these features already implemented. So we have a news feed here, we can see other people in the same region, we have a knowledge base, and all this stuff, messaging. So most of these features are already there. We are still not, haven't implemented everything, but I think we are on a good track, and we are really making big progress here. We use something like open collaboration services to accomplish this. It's a specification for client-server communication. There are several free server and several free client implementations available. Different websites already use it, for example, the forums from KDE. Migo has built-in support for it. Memo has support for it. OpenOffice is using it. And more, like all major Linux distribution in the future will use it for their application installation. So this is a really nice protocol where different clients and different servers can communicate and share data and social information. So I think we have great social features in KDE. So I think in the first point we are still not there, but we are making good progress. The second point is deployable and access to applications. I mean, at the moment it's really not a good solution where you have to handle different repositories. As a normal user, it's not really clear what a repository is. If you add a user repository to your Linux distributions, you might get untested software, but you only want to install another game, or you just don't care about the implications, and it's a difficult situation. We have the project Brezen here, which tries to simplify this a lot. It consists of two parts. First part is make it easy for developers to release an application. Second part, make it easy for users to install the application. First part, oh, you can't see anything, cool. We have a Qt Tracer plugin which communicates with different build services, like the OpenSUSE build service or the Migo build service, for example. It compiles, cross-compiles your application, it packages automatically, and it releases it. So it uploads your application to different repositories or app stores or Freshmeat or stuff like that. And basically everything in 5 minutes. So the idea is that as a developer, you start your IDE, you write your small game or whatever application you want to develop, and if you're done, you press one button, launch this plugin, it automatically makes a tar file, upload it to different build services, automatically generates spec files. You just have to select which distribution or operating system you want to support, and you wait a few minutes, and then you're done. Then you have the final packages. So it makes it really, really easy. Second part of the project is you want to enable the end user to access these applications. So what we did, we created something like an app store interface. It's already working, already implemented. We did this in a developer sprint in the SUSE office earlier this year. And this is a screenshot, and you can select different categories. You can see, search for applications, you can look at screenshots, you can look at descriptions, you get automatic or notifications if a new version of your application is available. You can do voting, you do comments, become a fan of the application. We support different clients. For example, if you have a micro interface or a KDE desktop interface in place. So everything combined in a really nice interface for end users to access applications. I mean, if you want to install a new game via the standard package manager, it's really not that easy. I mean, normally you have 10,000 of packages, some of them are libraries which are not really interested to end users, then some command line tools which my mother wouldn't understand what it is, and everything's mixed together. You can't have screenshots, you don't have recommendations, and what we have here is a layer on top of this which really simplifies this. So we can really browse and see what's going on, something like the Android market or the App Store for Apple devices, but in an open way, of course. So we support different backends. Everybody can provide sources, hook into the system, and provide applications for end users. Another interesting part is the last point here, upstream. That's the code name of a project which started earlier this year, where all major Linux distributions agreed to use this technology to ship applications in the future. Something like an app store, which runs on all Linux distributions. There will be different servers and different clients, of course, but all use the same protocol. So we will have something like a common ecosystem of applications, and everybody can see what's going on. Everybody can easily publish into the system, and end users can easily access it and install it. So with Project Breakson, I think we hopefully make access to applications very easy in the future. So we have a solution for the second problem, or the second advantage what cloud applications have. In the future, it will be really easy to access native desktop Linux applications. So now the third part, this is the most interesting point, I think, which is access and sharing of data. I still think that current storage solutions suck. I mean, we still have 2011, and it's really, really easy to do a lot of basic stuff. My requirements are, first of all, I want to have all my data under my control. I don't want to have my personal information stored on Dropbox or on an Amazon server or an Ubuntu server or something like that. I want to have it under my control. It's really, really important. Second is, I want to access all my documents, my files, my movies, my songs from all my devices. So from my home desktop, from my work desktop, which might not run KDE, from my laptop, from my netbook, from a random internet cafe, from my smartphone. So I want to have all my information available on all my devices. I mean, it should be easy. I mean, it's still difficult. And normally people copy stuff around with USB sticks or burn CDs or use FTP servers, and this is really not good at the moment. And I want to have a solution for this. Third is, I want to access all my data online or offline. I mean, sometimes you don't have internet access, right? I mean, sometimes you're on a train or a plane, and you want to sync stuff offline on your device, access it and sync it back. Automatic backup should be included. I want to have versioning, so if I modify a LibreOffice or a Calibra document and I make an error, I want to automatically go back to an old version and just revert. So versioning, which is standard for development, I want to have this for all my files. Encryption, of course, everything should be encrypted. Easy sharing is another big point. So here I want to click on a file or on a directory and say, make this photo gallery available for my mother. Or share this document with a colleague so we can work together on it. Or make this song available for a friend of mine so you can also listen to it, or this movie or whatever. So this should also be possible. Easy extent of storage is another interesting point. I mean, sometimes your hard disk runs full, and what do normal users do? That's a big problem. And we can, sorry?
Erase stuff.
Yeah, you erase stuff, and if it's still full?
Buy another hard drive, transfer.
I mean, for a normal user, it's really hard. I mean, normally, most people probably buy a new computer. If they're not a little bit more experienced, they buy a second hard disk and they have to copy stuff around. It's like, is it on this drive or on a second drive? So this is, my mother can't do this. My mother can't handle it. If the hard disk of my mother is full, that's a problem. So another use case is, for example, I'm working on my thesis. I want to access this from everywhere. Doesn't matter if I only have my smartphone with me, or my laptop, or my desktop, or whatever. I want to work on this document all the time. But I don't want to copy it around on USB sticks. I mean, I want to have it on one place. This place should be completely secure. I want to have, no one else should have access to this. This should be really under my control. And all my changes should be versioned and everything should be backed up. I don't want to lose this document under no circumstances. This is really important. And I mean, this is just a typical use case, I think. But it's not that easy with nowadays technologies to do this. I mean, if you have it on your desktop or your laptop, you have to carry around your laptop all the time. And if the hard disk breaks, you have a problem, or you do backups all the time, but no one is doing backups all the time. And if you erase a chapter, you don't get it back, and that's really not that easy. Second example is, I want to listen to my music everywhere, from my smartphone, from my desktop, from my laptop, all the time. Even if the collection is too big to fit on a netbook. I mean, sometimes you have a lot of music, a lot of movies, whatever, and just doesn't fit on the disk. But I still want to access it. Should be possible. And I want to click on a folder and say, please give Thiago access to it. So he should hear a cool new album, please check it out. I mean, that's just, I mean, everybody can understand this use case. But make it happen is really difficult. I mean, how do I do this? Attach it to an email, send it a huge attachment to you? That's not going to work. At least not with a movie. You upload it to a server, but what server? I mean, this is really difficult for normal users. Next example is, sometimes in KDE we do developer sprints or meetings like this, and sometimes you want to work together on a document, and you need some kind of central place where this document is stored, and everybody should have access to it. This is also not that possible. Sometimes people can enable file sharing on their laptops, or sometimes people have an FTP server, something like that. But for normal users, it's really not that easy to make a document accessible for their colleagues or for their friends. Or my favorite example is, last 2 weeks I did a trip around California. I made a lot of photos, and I want to show these photos to my parents. How do you do this? I mean, of course, I can print it out and send it by mail, or send a DVD by mail. I can attach them all to an email and send it by email. This is not going to work. Or I upload it to Facebook or to Flickr, but then I have some security, privacy problems, because I don't want to share all these photos with the whole world. I just want to show it to my parents, that's all. And that's really not that easy. And we have 2011. I mean, we all work in IT for a long time. And still, most of these problems are really, really hard. And I think the solution for this could be ownCloud. ownCloud is completely free software licensed under HGPL. It's a package which can be installed on your own root server if you have one, on your home PC if you have something like DynDNS, or if you can set it up, you can run it on your home PC. If you have access to something like a company server can provide this service. You can rent it from a company who provides the service to you. Or my favorite example is an appliance. In the future, I want to have an appliance like a small box I plug at home in my internet box, and together with a terabyte hard disk, and there's all my digital life stored on this disk. And I can access it from all my devices from all over the world. We don't have this appliance solution yet, we're working on it. But what we have is, we already have a company who offers ownCloud services. I think they have something like 200 or 300 megabytes for free. So you can sign up and just use it for free to test it out. And then $5 a month for unlimited storage. which is quite cheap, I think. I think there's a link on the ownCloud website somewhere if you want to test it. But if you're experienced Linux user, of course, you can install it on your own PC, on your own server. That's really easy. All you need is an Apache server and PHP, and all the rest is automatic configuration. So you don't have to care about it. I think there's also an appliance for SUSE Studio or from SUSE Studio.
Yeah, virtual appliance you can just run in VirtualBox or VMware or whatever.
Yeah, you can, if you have VMware VirtualBox on any operating system, install download the image and run it, so you also have your own cloud installation. Okay, what can you do with it? You can access it from the browser, of course, but this is not the primary use case, I think. It's useful to have a web interface if you don't have KDE or Linux installed, or only have it sitting on an internet cafe, for example. The real use case is you mount it directly into your file system, or if your internet connection is not fast enough, you can sync it. You have a syncing client which syncs part of your ownCloud directory locally to your hard disk. And if you're online again, it syncs all the changes back. And this all works with all operating systems, Mac, Windows, Linux. You can directly use kioslaves for KDE, or use Fuse directly mounted into your home directory. And we also have, like I said, a web browser, web interface, which can be used from your smartphone, for example. What we also do is automatic backup. So you can configure a second device, second hard disk or second server, and all write requests are automatically mirrored to the second device. So you always have a backup. We have versioning support. We looked into Subversion, Git, and hard links for this. We decided to use Git because it's the best solution. This is also partly implemented. So we have a version of every time you save a file from all the applications, automatically a new revision, a new version is created. So you can always go back. And important here, the applications don't have to know about this. They're just safe at a directory, and all the versioning backup happens automatically in the background. You don't have to care about this. You don't need support from the applications to do this. We have encryption, so the files could be GPG encrypted, and the WebDAV connection could be SSL encrypted, of course. Then sharing, it works. You click on a file and say share this with this person, and there's an email sent to this person with a link on it and an ID, and he clicks on it. If the user is running KDE, automatically Dolphin pops up, it shows you the file. Or if it's not running KDE, you at least get a web interface, so you can use a web interface to access the file or the photo gallery or whatever. You can configure if you want to give the person write support or only read support. You can set an expire date to say, okay, this movie is only shared for a week, and then it expires automatically. And you can share a specific file or a complete directory with other persons. We have notifications. So if something happening on your own cloud installation, like the disk is full, or someone is sharing something with you, or someone is editing a file of you, you get directly notification on your KDE desktop. So we have a plasmid which pops up and sends you a system notification if something is happening. So you're always up to date what's happening on your own cloud. So what do we have today? At the moment, version 1.1 is released. We have a web interface, like I said. The WebDAV support works, notification works, the backup works, and we have a way for KDE applications to store config data in it. For example, Reconc, the KDE browser, already can sync bookmarks with your own cloud. So we have an abstract key value storage here for all kinds of stuff. And we also have a plugin interface for something like media player or photo gallery. At the moment we're working on version 2.0, which will have sharing support, versioning with Git, the thinking client, and this will be released in the next few months because all the features are already implemented. Basically, we just have to test it a little bit. There's a refactoring going on, but this will be released really soon. So I'm really happy about all the contributors we got, because this idea was announced 1 year ago at last year's KDE, and I was really surprised how many people are interested in this and really committing code and fixing stuff, and it's a really active project, and thanks to everybody who contributed. I want to show you 3 more future plans we are working on at the moment to give you an idea what I think what the future direction will be. The first thing is, I really can't see anything here. We're working on a completely new web interface, which is way nicer than the one we have at the moment. Completely Ajax and really looks really nice, I think. And part of this will also be an optimized interface for tablets and smartphones. So if you have a smartphone which is not capable of running KDE applications, I mean, we have something like Contact Mobile. I think there will be a next talk about this. But if you have a device which is not able to run this, you can still use the web interface to access all your stuff. Yeah, this is already implemented, and the standard interface is already there. The mobile optimized, the tablet optimized one is work in progress. The next big goal for me is I want to have a web interface for all my important data, which means if I'm on the road, I have my smartphone, I still want to have access to all my PIM data. So the goal is to have Akonadi support. So you always have your calendar, perhaps at the beginning read only, in the future perhaps also write support. So you can always look up all your information on the road without a KDE application. Same with your Office documents. I always want to have read support, have access to all my documents, even without a KDE application, without Calligra. Here we have really good news. A really fancy new feature is that the guys from KO GmbH, who also worked on Calligra, did an ODF implementation in JavaScript, which means this is already merged, which means you have a viewer and also a basic editor in the web interface of ownCloud. The use case is, at home, you're sitting on your KDE desktop, you're writing a letter, for example, you have your ownCloud mounted, and you save it on your ownCloud. Then you shut your computer down, you go sit in the car, or drive somewhere, open up your smartphone, and keep on editing the same file with your browser. And you can save it all the time and look at all the revisions, of course, do rollbacks. And later, if you arrive at your company, your job, you can keep on working with your laptop or with your company device. So you have all the information available from all your devices. And also media. We are working on a media player, which is basically just an interface that you can play your music from your smartphone. I mean, the MP3s or the OGG files are stored in the cloud, and if you don't have a rich media player on your device, just use an HTML5 media player. It's all goes to the same data. And the next goal for the future is, this is more very advanced, but this is a dream of mine, which is I want to have a sync state for all KDE applications. So something like you're sitting on your desktop, you have Kmail open, you're writing an email, and then you decide, oh no, I have to go because I'm late. You shut it down, and then you go to a different computer and start it up again, and Kmail shows up in the complete same state. And this is also something which is completely unresolved, of course, at the moment. No implementation yet, no idea how to do this. But this is an idea of mine. I want to have something like this, because this is something a cloud, a web application can provide. I want to have something like this for KDE. Okay. If you want to help on ownCloud, if you want to contribute, everybody is welcome. We develop in the KDE Git repository, of course. We have a mailing list called ownCloud@kde.org. We have our wiki, and we're doing later this month our first developer sprint in Stuttgart, where all the main ownCloud contributors come together, and we are hacking on new cool stuff. So if you're interested, just come submit your patch, go to the mailing list, whatever. Everybody's welcome. So the summary of this presentation is KDE has a superior desktop technology. I think we have really, really good desktop applications. Lots of features, really fast, really beautiful. If you combine this with ideas from cloud computing, then we have something which is better than anything else, which is better than Windows or Mac, and which is better than cloud applications. But the combination of both is really the goal. Thank you.
Any questions?
Parts of this actually did kind of fit in with the discussion I was having with you earlier, the synchronization aspect of configuration.
Yeah.
And Rex pointed out a couple of points that might need to be looked at in order to make that a reality. When is the next time that you are going to be doing any sprint or get together with individuals so that more ideas can be fleshed out and try and deal with this actual problem?
The next developer sprint will be in 2 weeks in Stuttgart, which is, I don't know, a little bit close. But we plan to do a second one, of course, but I don't have a date yet. But what you said earlier is the syncing of configuration data. We talked about this already. It's definitely a goal, but it's not that easy. I mean, someone suggested to just sync the .kde directory, which is not the best solution probably, because there is device-specific data in it and device-independent data. For example, for the Plasma desktop, there are the sizes of widgets and stuff is stored in config files. And I don't want to have the same config file on my phone. So
that's one of the things I was thinking, and this is something that might be discussed later outside of this presentation portion, but moving some of that information to separate config files that are local storage only or whatever. I mean, that way we moved toward the possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we have this key value storage already, which could be used for this, and we could do something like a kconfig backend. But I still think that applications have to support it somehow, because you can't just sync everything. It doesn't make sense.
Next question.
Yeah.
A couple of little things. So the Britzen, is it backended by the Britzen package app store? Is it backended by PackageKit?
The idea behind Britzen is that you can have different servers and different clients.
Okay.
The client we have at the moment, the KDE client, is using PackageKit.
Okay.
But Britzen itself is independent. I mean, you can do whatever you want, you write whatever you want front end with it for it. For example, the Ubuntu Software Center, they also agreed to use the OCS API in the future, and they'll probably use, I don't know if they use PackageKit. They could use whatever they want. But independent.
Cool. Other thing is, so the sharing is the sharing in ownCloud, is it currently sharing within a server installation, or is it sharing from server to server?
From server to server.
Okay.
So the idea is that everybody should have their own cloud installation, because it's about private data. Of course, we have multi-user support, and if you trust your family, for example, you can use the same installation, but it's not. The idea is not that everybody connects to the same server. This would be against the idea. So.
Could you then add like OpenID Connect support to this if you wanted to take that approach and make this more sharing, social, integrated with the current web platform?
For authentication of the shared items, you mean? Yeah, sure. This could be done. At the moment, it's a very simple solution, because we wanted to I mean, there were two options. First of all, write a complete user management where you can create an account for all the people you share something with, but then people forget their password, and you have all this complexity. And at the moment we decided to just send out a link with an ID on it, and you click on the link and then you have the file. So no real password for the people you share stuff with. But could use something like OpenID in the future. Sure.
Any other questions?
Have you talked with the folks at the Freedom Box?
Yeah. I actually did at Foster. Yeah.
Certainly seems like.
Yeah, that's a similar idea. Yeah.
Seems like there's some good collaboration to be done there.
The difference seems to be that they want to create a real box. I mean, an operating system, a complete operating system, or a complete hardware box thingy. Problem with this approach is that not a lot of people will be able to install this or maintain this or host this somehow, because it's server hosting. It's not that easy. With ownCloud, it's like, I forgot to mention this, it's built in a way that it runs on just a random web space. So if you have a web space from your university or for somewhere, just go create a subdirectory somewhere, put ownCloud in it, and it should run. Because it automatically generates SQLite database and automatically configures to the path, and the idea is that it really runs on as many devices as possible.
Well, your description of one of the possibilities was an appliance.
Yeah, sure.
Freedom Box would be.
That's the same. That's true. Yeah, true. Yeah. I talked to the guys, and we look for ways to combine this offer.
Any other questions?
I have another question. Lots of that relies on that you have some hosted instance somewhere which runs reliably. Otherwise, this whole concept doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
So, but hosting something, as you said, is not that easy. And if you're not willing to run your own server, you have to rely on a service or something, where you then basically give up the big advantage that you have everything under control.
Yeah.
So then you compete with Google Docs, and you compete with Facebook, and you compete with all the really, from a user's point of view, really nice, convenient websites.
Yeah.
So do you have any ideas about how to address this?
That's the problem, of course. Sure. I mean, advanced users can host it on their own server, like you said.
Yeah.
Normal users, I mean, in the future we will want to have something like just an installer for your desktop. You can just a package for OpenSUSE, for example. You install it, and it runs on your desktop. And it automatically try to see via UPnP if it's possible to configure your router in a way that it port forwards to your box, and it runs locally on your box. And if this fails, it's possible to do a second workaround with a proxy server somewhere in the internet, which is still okay if it's SSL, because then it's still secure. I think the Opera Unity thing, they have some similar, that web server built into the browser, and they do something like this. They provide a proxy service in the internet where they tunnel the data through your NAT, your internet router, to your box at home. So something like this might be a solution. Of course,
you still would need to have a computer running
all the time. Yeah.
And I think that's for normal users, that's probably a problem. They have a laptop, they just close it, it powers off.
Sure.
Have you thought about something, I don't know, like federation or something, so that you can have multiple services which synchronize, so if you shut off your laptop, that your phone still serves the data or something?
That's a crazy idea, but this is only an idea, that you store your data in something like containers, which are small encrypted files, and they are federated somewhere. And if you have your own cloud installation, you can say, okay, now I have 100 gigabytes of space, but I only use 10, and I provide 90 to other people, and they can store the encrypted boxes there. So you have automatic distributed backup and distributed access, but this is just an idea.
So it looks like this is a great project, and it looks like the KDE project through this is taking on more of the functions of the operating system. like you're talking about doing backup, how to manage extra storage. Really what this suggests to me is like every household, and this relates to your question, it seems to me every household should have a server that's on the internet. Whether or not it's accessible to people outside the household, that's another question, but that's your source for letting people with the laptops store the data. It's also your source for having adding this extra functionality for like backup. So you just throw an extra hard disk in the system and have the KDE system know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I wonder what your thoughts are about having like a home server that is the source of your ownCloud.
Yeah. I mean, in the future, I completely agree. In the future, I think everybody, I mean, digital data, our digital life is becoming more and more important. I mean, we all do more and more stuff in a digital way on our computers. So there is a need for something like this. I don't want to have everything locally, but I also don't want to upload everything to Facebook.
So what I'm wondering is, what's the interaction with the KDE project and the distributions?
Okay.
Because it's sort of like the KDE is taking over more of the function that the distro does for an individual or home user.
Inside KDE, we talk a lot about this kind of stuff, and KDE is no longer a community for desktop shell. KDE is more like a general community who is doing all kinds of technologies which are useful in the future and which are important to protect your personal data and your personal freedom and stuff like that. So yeah, we're doing some projects at the moment and even more in the future which are outside of just a classic desktop. So ownCloud is one of them.
So you talk about bringing hardware back into your own personal control rather than using distributed hardware or hardware as a service, which is sort of counter to what Jim was talking about this morning, how hardware is going to turn into a service. So if that trend is, if his prediction is true and that trend continues, how would that affect this project? I mean, I'm a technical person, I can set up a server and I host several of my own personal services, but I don't own the server and I don't want to have.
You don't have to. Perhaps in the future this runs on your phone.
So how is that different from trusting somebody else's server services versus using Flickr to host your images or Facebook to host your social network or any other thing? I mean, the difference is simply user policy and the end user license agreement for that service.
I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, end user agreements or I mean, you see that example of Facebook. I mean, they change their rules all the time. Right? I mean, okay, my holiday pictures are not that secret. I could upload them and configure them as only visible for my friends or whatever. And I hope that it stays like this. But sometimes companies, for example, they have really confidential data. They want to handle this somehow, and at the moment they have it behind 5 firewalls somewhere in their hosting center, but they can't access it from the phones. And there's a need to do cloud-based stuff, but not on a central server. So I think it's I don't really know how to.
Sure, but I mean, this goes back to what Cornelius said about you're almost competing with other cloud services such as Google Docs and Flickr and Facebook. It's just simply another technology service. But your first requirement was that it's under your own control, but that conflicts with how most people want to operate because they don't want it. I mean, they don't really want it under their control. They don't want to have to maintain it. I mean, ownCloud provides encryption of the files and encryption of the transfer, but again, it goes back to it's just another service. There are other services out there that do the same thing. So how is this different?
Only partly. I mean, if you don't care about, you can.
Dropbox, for example.
Yeah, example. We do the same as Dropbox. You can go to a company and for $5 a month run unlimited storage and sync your data with this Dropbox provider. There's also the benefit that there's not only one provider which has all the information of all the users in the world, but different ones. But you can do this if you want to have the convenience. But if you want to have a little bit more security, you can use the same software and put it on your desktop at home. Or a company can put it on the company server. Or you can buy an appliance. You have the choice. It's free software. You can do whatever you want with this. I mean, that you can use a hosted service if this model is okay for you, but you don't have to.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much.